and communications consultant. Our speaker today is Chuck Wagner. He has worked on various roles in property management for most of his career. He started in rental and went into managing senior independent living. Following that, he worked in a continuing care retirement community, followed by several years in association management, and lastly, as a cooperative living manager and consultant. He is currently employed part-time as a consultant with Lifestyle Communities, developer of Artessa Cooperative Development on Country Club Drive here in Golden Valley. That's along the southern edge of the country club. He precisely placed that. Chuck has acquired many different designations, including certified rental manager, certified senior advisor, Minnesota real estate agent, and certified manager of community associations. His very first home was in Golden Valley, and shame on you now reside in Plymouth. He will talk to us today about housing options for seniors in our area. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. All right. I don't do this often, so let's see if I can get this going. We had it up and running a minute ago. So it'll take a second for it to wake up again. Hey, there we go. A few things going back, all the people lived in Golden Valley. I thought, when did I live in Golden Valley? It was actually my first home when my daughter was about 2 years old, and that was back in 1983. And my son was born in Golden Valley. We lived right kind of behind Menards at Good Shepherd Church over in Jersey. The house, we had a great little house there. My kids loved it because it was built on a slope, and it did slope. So he could set his toy cars down and watch the car go down. Kids loved it. They could keep their peas on one side of the plate. It was not a great house. It no longer exists, but we lived there for a few years. We lived in St. Louis Park and Plymouth and a few different places, and been primarily in real estate. And I got an interest a little bit more in senior housing back as I was working with my mother, trying to navigate all the things for care communities. She actually lived not too far from here on Hopkins Crossroads when we moved her up from southwestern Minnesota. Lived in a lot of different areas, and actually lived with us in our home for a few years as we were working and raising our kids and taking care of her. And so we find out there's a lot of different options of retirement. I'm going to talk a couple things. It's just kind of an overview of different housing types of services that are available. I'll leave enough time for some questions and answers at the end because there's a wealth of information there. But I'm also going to talk, since this is Golden Valley Rotary, not to sell, but tell you more about what a cooperative is and what we're actually building here in Golden Valley. So when people say, what's happening over at the country club? You know, hey, I'm on a Rotary and I don't have a clue. No, you can answer that a little bit. So I think there's maybe I'll just scroll down here. So there are more options than ever before. A lot of the people here are my age, some even a little bit older. And I remember growing up, my mother would go visit her brothers at what she called the old folks home. It was not a very pretty place to live. As a matter of fact, my mother-in-law is 87. We recently helped her relocate after the death of her husband to a senior housing community. And of course, she was going to go kicking and screaming because she didn't want to go to the old folks home. Well, things have changed a lot as over the last probably 20 years specifically. There are so many more options. And now, talk to my mother-in-law, I go pick her up for lunch and bring her back. She says, oh, you know, Chuck, your wife, my daughter, did such a great job finding me such a wonderful place to live. People are great. I've got my own apartment with a den. Meals are fantastic, all of that type of thing. But getting her to go there wasn't easy. So what I recommend to people is go out and explore some options. You know, there are some wonderful things out there. And some of the major options are just simply aging in place. And I'm going to talk a little bit about several of these: maintenance, reduced living, assisted living, and independent living. It kind of goes backwards, but it'll make sense as I go through here. Question so many people face as we get older: should I stay or should I go now? You know, what am I gonna do? I love it here. I plan to spend my entire life in my home, but you know what? 37th time of changing my screens and putting my dock in and mowing the lawn and cleaning the gutters. And through COVID, I was so isolated. I didn't even get to talk to anybody. We had a 9-month winter, and the neighbors I saw I didn't recognize because they were so bundled up because it was freezing. My friends have moved south. My people have isolated more. We're not driving at night. Just our world starts getting a lot smaller. And I'm not pointing fingers because, you know, I'm at that level. I'm at that point also saying, hey, what am I gonna do? And I don't want to be the person who waits until my kids start intervening to me. So I want to be proactive and taking a look at what are type of options for people out there. So it's really a balancing act, a lot of different things. One is price. What makes the most sense? What can you afford? What do you want to spend? What works for you? Because as you get older, if you're looking at care, if you don't have a long-term care insurance policy or so forth, it can wipe out your assets eventually. I mean, it's very expensive for assisted living and long-term care. What makes sense financially? Physically needs and abilities. How about your care and abilities? And that's kind of two levels. Healthcare, you want to bring some, you know, as we get older, if we need some assistance, either short-term or long-term. After 65, we talk about falls. People break a hip, and that's at a certain age is almost a death sentence for people. And so how do we stay upright? Is it Tai Chi? Is it being involved with different things? Is it going to the club? What are we able to do? Should I still be climbing that ladder, cleaning my gutters? Or should I job that out? And do I really want to be jobbing that type of thing out? Psychologically, what makes most sense regarding socialization and lifestyle desires? How do I want my life to look at? If you look at so many reports that have come out lately, it talked about quality of life as we get older is being involved, being continued either to work, volunteering in prison, volunteering at the schools, just being involved in Rotary, different things like that. It's the connections that really keep us healthy. And so timing comes down to when, what about the future? Where are we going to go? So the first thing is people say, you know what, I'm just going to stay put. And that's what most of us desire to do and have desired to do over the years. You retain your independence, you're still doing your own thing. You feel a sense of accomplishment as you're out planting your gladiolas or putting your deck in or whatever you might be doing. You feel good about that. There's a great sense of pride of doing that type of thing. It may be more cost effective. Maybe the house is paid for, you got a few dollars in the bank and everything's just going pretty well. However, sometimes you take a look at, okay, I've been in the house 37 years. It's getting, that roof is a little, that furnace is a little, so it may or may not be. And you can also, if a time comes where you have a hip replacement or you need a knee replacement or you need a little additional care, you can hire. There are tons of services out there that will come into your home, comfort keepers or places like that to provide some assistance to keep you there. What we're finding is a lot of people that I've dealt with in the years is they're not utilizing their space. They've lived in a 3,000 square foot home, raised their family, and now they're cleaning rooms they haven't been in a month. I've talked to people who have moved their bedrooms down to the main floor because they can no longer do stairs. They are not getting out because it's just not safe in the winter time. And something I realized as I talk to people is sometimes we get older, the most dangerous place in your home for some people, for a lot of people, is between your front door and your mailbox. If your mailbox is out in the street, because the stories I've heard, I mean, one lady I talked to, she went out to just get her mail outside the house, the bell landed in the bushes and wasn't found until her mail came the next day. No, I mean, these are true stories, because what happens if we're going places, we probably tell somebody, hey, I'm going to the store, I'm going out here. We put on our coats, we put on our hats, we put on our boots. Me, I go out and get my newspaper on Sunday morning. I'm in my jammies and my slippers. I slip and fall out there. I'm going to be there for a while and I'm not dressed for it. So it can't, sometimes not the safest place to be. We're not utilizing the home the way we used to. Or if we are, we're having to make modifications, putting in the elevators, putting in the ramps, putting in things that, are making adjustments. And then it's the maintenance and repairs. And the thing I'm learning about maintenance and repairs, because I'm not a maintenance and repair guy, is not only the stuff that has to be done, but the fact that I have to job it out. And that's a pain in the butt. Talked to a friend of mine, their water heater just went out recently. Took 2 days off to be able to call everybody, get appointments. People wanted, who do I call? Where do I get? What do I get? What's a fair price? And you know what? You don't get to take the time on a walk, to do that shopping. So it's the headache and the safety. And probably more important, I'll talk a little bit in a minute about, is the isolation. Now, what some people do is they say, you know what, I'm gonna right size, or what people call downsize, and they're gonna say, I'm gonna move to a condo or townhome. That will resolve some of those things, but it doesn't resolve all of them, particularly the isolation aspect of it. So as I'm gonna go to a little bit more of the advanced care. These are the people who maybe are moving because it's a have to. Well, one option is for people to move in with family. And my experience of dealing with people when I was in marketing for assisted living is people who moved in with family members oftentimes have this picture of the Waltons. And it's really more like the Simpsons. It just, there's a lot of stress. Whose is what? Is this my place? A lot of places now, they're actually having what they would refer to as in-law apartments, a separate place. And that tends to work out a little bit better, but that's not an option for everybody. Also, as I mentioned, if you need assistance, you can bring in some home care to assist you until you're ready to make a difference. Now, there's a lot of the communities that you're going to see now are what's called a CCRC, Continuum Care Retirement Community, where they have levels of care within the same facility. And as your care needs, either they can bring it to you in the same apartment, or sometimes you have to move to a different portion of that building. We probably all know people who live in that. For instance, a year and a half ago, moved my mother into one, and she's currently in the independent side. Not sure how long she'll be able to remain there, but they have the optional service. She's eating a meal a day, and that's huge because of the nutrition. This is the other thing that happens to people. And should my husband pass away, I tell you what, my wife goes away for a week. What am I eating? Right? It's no fun to cook a nutritious meal for yourself, do the dishes, put it away, and sit there by yourself. So we're eating a can of soup or just whatever at best. Last night, a bowl of popcorn, that type of thing. So nutritious meals, housekeeping, reminders and activities. And those aren't too bad. I think typically you might be paying under $3,000 a month for rent, meals, and basically all your utilities. And it's a safe place to live. Assisted living is usually done in the same type of area where they can bring in care. And usually there's what they call assistance with activities of daily living. And that's broken down into 5 areas where you need assistance with personal hygiene or grooming, dressing, toiletry, transferring or ambulation, and eating. These are the items that if you have something like long-term care insurance or decide if you qualify for medical assistance and this type of thing, should you spend all your money now? Usually 3 of those 5 will qualify you if you have long-term care insurance. If you only have 2, you're not going to get it. By the way, I do have printouts of this information people take with them if you'd like, or I can use. And then last, where none of us want to be there, is in a memory care, where that usually does require a move because units have security features to keep the residents safe. They have design features to help people with their memories. And I mean, it's really interesting if you've seen it. They have dolls that people play with, and it's just very cathartic for them. There's some very excellent things going on in those type of communities. The staff in the memory care could be very well trained for doing that. So where most of us are this is need-based, but we like to talk about where we're at, especially with Artessa and some of the places I live, and not so much the need-based, but the desire. What do I want? Do I still want to be where I'm at, or I want to go somewhere else? Well, there are senior apartments and cooperatives. Apartments and cooperatives are kind of nice. You see a lot of these going up, you probably get the mailers, right? Exactly. So they're usually large buildings. The advantages of like-minded neighbors. There's amenity spaces, there's places to go down and have coffee, go have workouts, go maybe a swimming pool, maybe a fitness center, maybe a lunching area, things like that, where people kind of get together. They may have some activities. Maintenance and replacement responsibility is, since it's rental, you don't own it, you don't have to take care of it. And it's easy in and easy out. There's no down payment. You basically move in with a security deposit, fill your lease, move out. So it's a good temporary option for a lot of people. The problem is that they typically are a for-profit company. So if they can get higher rents, they're going to get the higher rents. Right now, that's the case. Ownership, you're not an owner, you rent, so you really don't have a voice in the community as you do in a cooperative through an elected board. Cooperative gives you owner equity, and cooperatives give community stability, which I'll talk a little bit more here in just a second. But that is an option. What I see some people do is when they move from their home, they'll go to a rental for a period of time while they figure out, okay, where do I want to go? Because I'm talking to people even who are thinking of just going to the maintenance-free or less maintenance, like a townhome or condo. You're still responsible for the stuff on the inside, but typically not on the outside. Is that it's tough to find one that they like. And most people, as we age, are looking for single level living, and that's harder to find also. A lot of townhomes out there, condos are kind of more of a downtown area than here. So what is a cooperative as opposed to rental? Okay, cooperative members collectively own and control the entire community in which they reside. So when you buy a townhome, you buy a piece of property. There's a deed, a title, you go through a realtor, you do all that. With a cooperative, what you're actually doing is buying a share. Let's say there's 50 units in that building, you become a 2% owner of everything. The parking lot, the trees, plants, the inside, the outside, everything there, you're a partial owner. And your ownership then gives you the right to occupy a specific unit. You don't own the unit, you own the building, and you have the right to occupy a specific unit. And the price of that share is based on the unit that you're occupying. Okay, talk a little bit more. Members buy a share in a cooperative, owns the land, building, and common areas. Members receive exclusively right to a specific residence. And there's a member-elected board of directors and professional management to direct and assist. So you, as an owner, you have a voice in what goes on, and it's a not-for-profit. So there's nobody raising the dues typically go up because you still have bills to pay, part of the cooperative, but there's nobody profiteering from the increase in dues. Cooperative benefits, limited equity cooperatives. Typically, to buy into a cooperative, what you do is you make a purchase price, which usually somewhere around 25% of the value of that share. And that's not to be confused with the value of that unit, because you're not buying a unit, you're buying a share of the entire property. You go, well, that seems expensive. Well, just remember, you're an owner and 2% owner of everything here. But provide certainty, a limited equity cooperative, let's say it requires a deposit of $300,000 down. That share value, when you resell, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, goes up in value. So you actually get more money back when you move out. It's easy in and easy out. We'll talk about the end, but 40-year fixed rate master mortgage held in the name of the cooperative. So when you move into a cooperative, you don't have to go through the hassles of getting mortgages. It's not real estate. There's no deed tax, anything like that. We get a HUD insured mortgage, which usually is about 1 to 2% lower than what you could get if you're doing something on a townhome or a single family home for yourself. Yet with a cooperative, because you are an owner, whatever portion of the monthly fee that you pay that goes towards the property taxes, you get a statement. You get a statement that shows how much interest you paid towards that mortgage. So that way, at the end of the year, if you're able to deduct those things, you're still able to do it because you are an owner, just like you are. Replacement services are an established reserve in a cooperative. What that is money set aside in your dues each month that covers long-term replacements. So most of them will have a scheduled replacement. And this is nice as opposed to a condo or a townhome. If you're living in a cooperative and your toilet backs up, it's not your toilet, it's a cooperative. You make a call down to the manager, he gets a plumber out, it's done. Your refrigerator dies, you get somebody to fix it. Now, who is a cooperative? Well, you are, so those things are actually covered in your monthly fees, but it eliminates the ups and downs or the worries or the hassle of being your own contractor and working with subcontractors. Everything that's in that cooperative when you move in is basically owned, maintained, and managed by the cooperative. You're living there stress-free. Ease of entry, ease of exit. Very simple to purchase one, very simple to get out because it's just like buying a stock. You just, put down the deposit, get the keys, and move on. So this is something important wherever you decide to take a look at. Did you know 70% of how we age physically is due to our lifestyle choices? 50% of how we age mentally is due to our lifestyle choices. Research shows that a physically active, mentally stimulating lifestyle, we need strong social engagement, we need purpose and meaning in life, and we need environments that support this lifestyle. So isolation kills. So that's why I have so much respect for people here in Rotary or whatever they're volunteering at, is it keeps you active, involved, and engaged. It keeps you happier, healthy, safer. So talk just a little bit about what's going on here in Golden Valley. We have Artessa Golden Valley. We also have Building 1 in Mount Harbor, Canterbury Crossing in Savage, Shakopee, and Zavago and Long Lake, which is going to be occupied here this fall. The location of this is we were able to purchase a piece of property from the Golden Valley Country Club. So it's on Country Club Drive. It's going to be on a hill, and it is going to be 78 homes. There are 15 uniquely designed floor plans. There are 5 floors, 2 levels of feet underground parking. We have different sizes from a 1-bedroom and den at 1,088 square feet to 2 bedrooms and den and 2 baths to 1,917 square feet, all single level living, pet friendly, smoke free, excellent location, direct access to shops and downtown and so forth. So something we really search for is great locations. A cooperative, as opposed to apartment, typically will have more amenity space per member than a rental. So we have probably 7 different rooms: large meeting rooms, small reading room, meetings rooms, social rooms, workshops, storage rooms, coffee areas, fitness area. This one also has a sports simulator, for the golfing and that type of thing, as well as a couple of the type of rooms for meetings and so forth. So socialization is huge in these type of communities. So buying a share in Golden Valley or in a cooperative in general, example, buy or sell your existing family home, and get $600,000. This is just an example. Purchase a share in Artessa, the Harmony, $350,000 deposit. Remaining excess proceeds from single family home after the cooperative, $250,000. Do what you want for that. Then you have a paid correlating monthly fee of $37.53. That monthly fee is probably similar to what you would pay if you went and rented in a nice apartment community. What you do get for that when you live at that property is, if you look at the pie chart over to the right, most of that is your responsibility to the underlying mortgage. Okay, so about 75% of that monthly fee goes to your responsibility to the underlying mortgage. The rest is real estate, property taxes, insurance, operations, common area utilities, and reserves for long-term replacements. So when they talk about the monthly fee, you only have one payment, and what gets covered there is basically everything that you typically in a single family home make a lot of payments for. So electricity, still have to pay that in the cooperative. Natural gas, you still pay that because you have your own EPAC in the unit. Personal property insurance, it's much less because it's the type of building it is. Everything else, all the way down to cable TV, high-speed internet, property liability insurance, real estate tax, lawn and snow care, home security, reserves for replacement, everything else is included. So in Artessa living, those monthly expenses come to about 1,000 in a typical family home. And just give you an idea, if you talk to most investment people or real estate people, they will still tell you, take about 1% of your home's value, and that's what you need for maintenance on that home. So if you have a $500,000 home, you could say, estimate, better have about $500 or $5,000 a year for maintenance and repair of that home. Some of it you can do so yourself, a lot of it jobs out, and that has to do, I mean, it doesn't take long to eat that up, replacing a furnace, you know. So all those things are taken care of. Selling your share, real simple. You notify the on-site living manager. And the new person coming in basically just assumes your share, buys it out from you. Now, this is not an investment to make money, but your deposit does grow by 2% per year. But I'll be honest with you, real estate and grows probably faster than that. So after living there 5 or 10 years, when your investment grew by 2%, there's a waiting list to get in on these because they are such a good value. Last property I worked at had just under 100 people on a waiting list. Most I know have waiting lists of several hundred people waiting to get in because there's such a great value on the limited equity cooperative. And there's no closing fees. If you go buy a new house, condo, or so forth, you can figure 10%. If you live there 2 years and property went up by 5% value, you're still going to send 10% to resell it. You're going to lose 5% of what you put into it. So it depends on how long you plan on living there. And we do all the advertising, marketing, and through wait lists. Resale example, put down initial share value, $350,000. If you're new to the property, you can upgrade. You design your whole unit. You decide what countertop, what carpet, what flooring, whatever you want. You want a fireplace? Do you want solar tubes? What do you want? Let's say you had some upgrades for $5,000. So you put down $355 for the sale of your house to the home. And after 10 years of the 2% compound interest, you gain $76,000 of value. And so when you sell, your proceeds are $431,648. So you do get some money back and you do have fun. So that is basically speed talk on a little bit about what's available, what options are out there. I encourage people to go out. You're probably not thinking, I'm not moving anytime soon. Go out and shop. You know, see what's out there. I even recommend people, if you see something you like, most cooperatives, existing ones, do have the waiting list. If it's something you want to do, usually it's a $200 deposit. You get on the waiting list. If you change your mind, they send the $200 back. But what happens, maybe you're not ready to move for another 5 or 10 years. You move up on that waiting list, and so when something comes available, you get the call and you're in charge. You can say no, you can say, give me my money back, or you can say, yeah, let me take a look at that. But you become more educated what's out there. So take some time, take your, loved ones out with you, take a tour, see what's out there, and become educated about what's out there and what the options are. There are a lot of services out there, senior linkage and, places that can assist you with that, as can we. We know we're not the only people in the business. Some people think apartments might be better. Stay in your home might be better. We don't know. We just know this works for a lot of people who are ready to downsize, but stay active. I mean, we're putting in pickleball courts. This isn't senior housing the way my mother knew about the old folks home. Okay. I mentioned I do have some brochures on the property with me. I have my business card, and I do have copies of this presentation. You can always reach out to me. You can pick one up on the way out. Questions? Yeah.
Are there continuing care cooperatives? Do those exist?
No, they are not, because the cooperative is really designed as independent living, and most of them really stay away from becoming that, because I want my independence. There's facilities that have that. If you're at that or might need that in the next few years, might be better served to go into that now. But for some people, that does mean they're gonna do a move. But last thing you want to do is, when you're active, like probably everybody here is in this room, is go to that community assisted, like where my mother-in-law lives. Even though she's independent living, there's not a lot of fun stuff for an active person. There's not pickleball, and there's not stuff going on. There's not the socialization and the happy hours and the potlucks, so you think you might need that sooner or later, you might be better served to go to that, but most of them won't do that.
What do we need to actually start digging or, start the construction?
That's a great question, but it makes a big challenge for us because with HUD and the underlying financing, we have to be 60% pre-sold before we can put the shovel in the ground. We're real close to that in Apple Valley. We just hit that at Mound. We're already at that at Long Lake, but it's tough to buy something sight unseen. I mean, we could take you out and show you some of the other properties we've done under the Zavago name, under the Gramercy names, under the Applewood Point names. We've developed a lot of those for different different companies, but we have to be 60% sold at deposit paid before we put the shovel in the ground. At Apple Valley, Apple Valley, Golden Valley, I think we're probably at 50, 45 or 50. I'm not exactly sure right now. I have to check there. But we have by the way, we do have an office. If you're interested, you can stop and make an appointment. It's right in the country club. We're there Monday through Friday, and we have all the information and displays and show you where the buildings are and stuff.
Can you choose to move into the place if you're on that?
No, we do the fair housing laws. When you move out, we're obligated to go through the wait list first. That's part of the declaration. The price is set by the reserve. It's whatever you paid plus 2% per year. Okay. So that's right. You can't sell it for more than that. It's a limited equity. And that's what makes it very easy to get out of, and very affordable for the next person to purchase. Like I say, it's not an investment. Hey, maybe you go buy real estate, you'll get 5% per year. Who knows? Maybe it goes down like it did in 2008. Maybe it goes up, whatever. But this is pretty much, we've never seen a limited equity not resell for the 2%.
Is there a different co-op model? I was dealing with my parents about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and we looked at the Calvary one up by Byerly's, and that seemed to be like your money you bought and then you paid a fee, but you never got back the part you paid in purchase. It wasn't like you could sell it later.
Yeah, I'm not in a cooperative. I don't know about that. There are some, but very rare right now, some market rates where they're not a limited equity that we are, where it's limited at 2% raise. Some of them are market rate. You can sell them on your own for whatever you can get. And it could be up or down, but usually you get that deposit back. That sounds more like some of the assisted living communities have a buy-in also. It's not as popular in this area. Most of them are just a flat monthly fee, but some have a buy-in, and that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then it lowers your monthly fee. But typically, I think that money's gone.
And I think that's what this must.
Yeah, and that could be. So I don't think that was a cooperative. That was probably a continuing care retirement community set up on a buy-in basis, would be my guess. Other questions? Okay. Well, now, by the way, we will be at, I'd like to learn more about some of the things that you guys are doing, because we will have a booth at Pride this coming weekend also. So we'll probably see you out there. One of the things we try to do with all of our properties is after they're built and they're occupied, our development company stays on the board for the first year or two to kind of pass a baton. But then these are all owners really of not property, but shares in Golden Valley. So we like them to be as much as possible integrated into the community. So we want them to know about the Rotaries or the chambers or the Pride events, or different where they can get things. I will say, just kind of on a side, kind of different though, is that 95 or 70, probably 70% now of the people who move into one of our properties come within 5 miles away from where it's being built. They already live there and they're coming. If the rest usually come to get closer to family or that medical or something like that. Okay. I'll put some things back on the table here if you want to pick them up. Thank you.